book nerd, welcome or welcome back to Tiny Book News channel with me Hesti. In today's video, I want to talk about books that I have read for the past 2 months and also show you how I update the wrap-up page in my reading journal. At the end of every month, I will print the covers of the books that I have read and glue them here, so later I can see all the books that I have read in 2022. Now, talking about the books, January was a great reading month. I enjoyed all of the books that I read, even found a couple of new favorites. But February was the complete opposite. If in January I read 7 books, in February I only read 1. And that is because I got COVID in February. So almost the whole month I just laid in bed and didn't have the energy to read. With these 8 books, I'm currently 11 books behind the schedule for my 2022 reading goal. I hope I could lower the gap by planning to spend most of my time reading in March. If you want to know my top TBR for March, I talk about them in my March setup video. I will leave the link in the description below if you want to check them out. Now let's update my January spreads. First is the wrap-up page. I use both Google Sheet and Storygraph to count all of the stats that I need, and here is my reading stat for January. I read 7 books and a total of 2,286 pages. Three of them are mystery and the rest are fantasy, romance, sci-fi, and fiction. For the format, I read 5 physical books, 1 audiobook, and 1 ebook. I didn't read any ARC in January, but I read 1 new release, Reminders of Him by Colin Hoover, and 2 books from my physical TBR, Nimona by Noel Stevenson, and Wizard Bakery by Gu Byung-mo. As for rating, I have 3 5 stars, and the rest are 4 stars. So my average rating for January is 4.42. Talking about my favorite book of the month, I was torn between Reminders of Him by Colin Hoover and this book. Both of them got 5 stars. They are memorable and stand out for completely different reasons. But I ended up choosing Finlay Donovan is Killing It because this story felt fresh, and I learned that I love this weird mixture between mystery and humor. The next page is my reading tracker. I want to show you how it looks after it's filled. This page is helpful not only to track your daily reading but also to learn your reading habit. Like myself, you can see here how I tend to read multiple books at one time. I also have a habit to start a book then switching to different title. This is something that I want to fix. And on average, it took me 2 or 3 days to finish a book that has 300 until 400 pages. And here are the books that I read in January, their rating, and my short thought about them. Continue to February, there are not many things to discuss here because I only read 1 book, The Salvation of Saint by Keigo Higashino, and I gave it 5 stars. Although it's a given for this book to be the monthly favorite, it is well deserved. This book is so damn good. Keigo is actually one of my all-time favorite authors, but this book still blew my mind. Since I read only one book in February, this page will look empty if I only write the book title, my rating, and a short thought as I usually did. So I decided to use these pages to write my full review of Salvation of Saint because I really love this book. I gave it 5 stars and I thought that it deserves some spotlight in my reading journal. Actually, after making these spreads, I got the idea to do the same things for all the books that are memorable and leave a big impact on me, such as books that receive 5 stars, and favorite books of the month will be one of them as well. Talking about this book, Salvation of a Saint is the second book in the Detective Galileo series by Keigo Higashino. It's a story about a murder case that happened in a household where the husband is the victim and the wife is the most logical suspect. However, she was hundreds of miles away when he was murdered, and it will be impossible for her to kill her husband. After reading this book, I reached the point where I think I will never give any Keigo Higashino's book under 4 stars because every book that I have read always blew my mind away. This book is the first book in the Detective Galileo series that I have read. Unlike his other series, Detective Kaga, the detective in this series is a classic detective type. He is extremely smart, kinda eccentric, and slightly smug. The character in the series somehow reminds me of Sherlock Holmes, but with a twist where the Sherlock character is a scientist. He is known as Detective Galileo because he usually helps his detective friends to solve weird and bewildering cases. If in Kaga's story, what I love is the detective himself and his method to unfold the murder case and find out who is the culprit, in here what I love is the case itself. It is astounding. This book had a strong psychological aspect. We already knew who is the killer. I mean, in a way, we already knew who is the killer. So, in this story, we, along with the detective, was trying to find how she did it. But the problem is, she had a rock-solid alibi and somehow it's kinda impossible for her to be the killer. You can say it's like a perfect crime. And after we found out about the truth, it's just too astonishing. How she did it, the things that she's been through, and the reason behind her action, it's totally unimaginable. When I was setting up my February reading journal, I was planning to have this spread every month, but learning from what happened in February, I thought it would be best if I do it after I finish a certain amount of books. So let's say if I read only 1 or 2 books or maybe nothing at all in a month, this spread won't be a waste. I think I could fit around 6 to 8 books on these pages, but it might be less depending on how I decorate the page. For this page, originally, I was planning to just write down the first line of the books, something that looks like a list. But after setting up my March spreads, I'm in a scrapbooking mode and I changed my plan for this page. In here, I can fit 6 books, 2 on the left side, while the rest on the right side. Those 2 are my favorite first line from all of the books that I have read in the past 2 months. Reminders of Him by Colin Hoover is one of the books that has my favorite first line. It's not Colin Hoover if her first line won't make you curious and continue reading her book. This book started with,
"There's a small wooden cross staked into the ground on the side of the road with the date of his death written on it. Scotty would hate it. I bet his mother put it there."
Now, after hearing that, don't you want to pick up this book? Next is my number one favorite. It is from Finley Donovan is Killing It by Al Cosimano.
It's a widely known fact that most moms are ready to kill someone by 8:30 a.m. on any given morning.
That sentence immediately caught my attention. I picked up this book out of whim and know nothing about it, but picking up this book is one of the best decisions that I ever made because I just found a new all-time favorite story. And here are the first line of the other books that I have read. The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Salvation of a Saint by Keiko Higashino, Wizard Bakery by Gu Byung-mo, and Claire by Ari Nilandari. Now let's see the final flip through of all the pages. I hope you enjoyed today's video. See you soon, friends!